It was Anna's mind raced. She didn't understand fully what that meant, but one thing was clear. The forest was no mere backdrop to her journey. It was a living entity, and whatever lay in that chest had the potential to change everything. The tremors began to subside, but the sense of urgency remained. She knew that she had uncovered something monumental, but whether it was a gift or a curse, only time would tell. The chamber, once a place of stillness, now felt alive with energy, and as she stood there, heart pounding, Anna knew that her discovery was only the beginning. The forest had revealed a secret, but it was a secret that came with great cost. With a final glance at the chest, she turned and made her way back through the tunnel, the weight of her discovery heavy on her shoulders. The forest around her felt different now, more aware, more alive, as if it had been waiting for her to uncover its hidden truths. The path ahead was no longer just a journey. It was a path toward something far greater, and she could only hope she was ready for whatever came next. Anna's heart raced as she retraced her steps from the underground chamber, the weight of her discovery pressing down on her with each movement. The air above ground felt dense with anticipation, like the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. It was as if the discovery of the chest had shifted the balance of power in the woods, an ancient dormant force that had stirred from its slumber. The sunlight filtering through the trees seemed dimmer now, casting elongated shadows that stretched like fingers across the forest floor. She was aware of the change in the atmosphere. Something primal, something ominous was beginning to take hold of the land. The once peaceful woods were now charged with an undercurrent of tension. She could feel it, the way the trees creaked in the wind as if they were speaking to one another, warning each other of the disturbance. The pulse of the forest had quickened, and it was no longer a place of solitude and calm. It was alive in ways she couldn't yet understand, and it was watching her. As Anna moved forward, the ground beneath her feet felt uneven, almost as though the earth had shifted. The path she had once walked so confidently seemed different now, more treacherous, more elusive. The thick underbrush tangled around her legs, and the trees themselves seemed to bend and lean toward her, as though they were closing in. Her breath quickened, the panic rising in her chest as she hurried her pace, but no matter how fast she walked, it felt as though the forest was pulling her deeper. Then, as the evening began to fall and the sun dipped below the horizon, a low, guttural sound echoed through the trees. It wasn't the usual chirping of insects or the rustling of leaves. This sound was darker, deeper, a low growl that seemed to reverberate through the earth itself. Anna froze in place, every nerve in her body screaming in alarm. The sound wasn't natural, it was too primal, too ominous. Her pulse quickened. She turned her head frantically, scanning the trees around her. In the distance, the shadows were moving, but they weren't shadows anymore. Someone was moving through the woods, emerging from the darkness like a shadow brought to life. Anna could make out a faint, hunched silhouette among the trees, its movement unervingly fluid. She could hear it now, the unmistakable sound of footsteps crunching in the underbrush. Her mind raced as she tried to make sense of the situation. Was it another person? A traveler lost like her? Or was it something more sinister? Something the forest had brought to life in response to the chest she had uncovered. Anna took a cautious step backward, then another, but the figure in the distance did not stop. It was drawing closer, and its pace was quickening. Then the air seemed to shift, become more dense, as if the very forest had grown heavier. Anna's breath hitched as the growl from before returned, louder this time, reverberating through the trees like the sound of something much larger, far more dangerous than any creature she had encountered before. Suddenly, with a burst of movement, the figure lunged forward, stepping out from the shadows. It was tall, far taller than any human, with limbs that seemed stretched and elongated. Its skin was a sickly gray, and its eyes bright, gleaming with a pale, unnatural light, locked onto Anna with chilling intensity. There was no mistaking it now. It wasn't a person. It was a creature, something of the forest's own making, born from the dark heart of the land she had trespassed upon. A wave of terror surged through Anna, and without thinking she turned and fled, her legs burning with the sudden exertion. The forest that had once felt like a place of adventure now felt like a maze, its twists and turns disorienting as she ran, blindly searching for a way out. The creature's footsteps were behind her, heavy and deliberate, its growl echoing through the trees like a hunter closing in on its prey. The path beneath her feet seemed to shift beneath her weight, the ground soft and slick with rain from earlier. Her vision blurred with the frantic need to escape, but the forest seemed to close in on her, as if the trees themselves were alive and conspiring to trap her. She could hear the creature getting closer, its breath growing louder with each passing second. Anna's heart thundered in her chest, and her legs felt like lead, yet she could not stop, not now. And then, as if the forest had heard her desperation, the ground beneath her gave way. She stumbled forward, her foot slipping on a patch of loose earth, and in an instant she was falling. The world spun around her as she tumbled down a steep incline, the sound of cracking branches and snapping twigs filling her ears as she fell. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she slammed into the ground with a thud, the wind knocked from her lungs. For a moment, Anna lay still, her breath shallow as pain coursed through her body. Her vision blurred, but she forced herself to move, to push through the dizziness and the agony. She had no time to rest. She had to keep moving. The creature was still out there, and it wouldn't stop until it had her. She pushed herself up onto shaky legs, her body aching with the impact of the fall. The path ahead was a tangled mess of roots and rocks, but she couldn't afford to hesitate. She stumbled forward, her hands brushing against the rough bark of the trees, using them to steady herself. The fear that gripped her was overwhelming, but she couldn't let it paralyze her. The forest was a maze, and she had to find her way out before the creature found her first. As she ran, a faint light appeared ahead of her, a flicker of something bright in the distance, faint but unmistakable. Anna's breath caught in her throat. The glow wasn't natural. It was the same bioluminescent light she had seen in the underground chamber, the strange, otherworldly glow that had emanated from the chest. She didn't hesitate. She ran toward it, driven by the instinct that the light was a sign of hope, a way out of this nightmare. With every step, the light grew brighter, until Anna burst through a thick curtain of leaves and found herself in a small clearing. The ground was littered with strange stones, each glowing faintly with the same eerie light, and in the center of the clearing stood a large weathered tree, its trunk split open, revealing an ancient hollow. The light seemed to pulse from within the tree, beckoning her. Without thinking, Anna sprinted toward it. She ducked into the hollow, her body trembling as she collapsed against the cool, damp bark. Her lungs burned with exertion, but she didn't care. She was hidden for now. She could hear the creature's growl growing fainter, its footsteps retreating as it moved past the clearing. But as she sat there, trying to catch her breath, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that she was not safe. The forest was vast, and the creature was relentless. Whatever had awakened in the woods, it had no intention of letting her leave. The darkness was rising around her, and Anna knew deep down that the journey she had started was far from over. The forest had more secrets, and she was about to uncover them all, whether she was ready or not. The forest was silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence Anna had once found soothing, but the hollow, uneasy stillness of something holding its breath, something ancient and dangerous. Huddled inside the hollow of the old tree, she watched the glowing stones dim to a faint pulse, like a heartbeat fading. Her body was sore, her mind stretched thin by fatigue and fear, but deep in her chest, something else stirred now: resolve. The encounter with the creature had changed everything. Anna no longer believed she was just a wanderer who had stumbled upon a forgotten legend. The chest she had discovered was not merely a remnant of the past, it was a fulcrum. And she had disturbed the balance of something far greater than she had realized. At dawn, after hours of trembling in the dark, Anna emerged from the tree's hollow and returned to the underground chamber. The forest no longer tried to stop her. No shifting roots, no phantom growls. Instead, it opened the way as if accepting her role in what was to come. Inside the cavern, the chest still pulsed with a soft glow. As she approached, she noticed something new. The lid was slightly ajar. Inside the chest lay an ornate object, a pendant made of blackened stone wrapped in thin, ancient metal, its surface engraved with the same symbols from the boulders. Next to it was a folded parchment. She carefully unrolled it, revealing Elias's final, unsent letter.
To the one who finds this. I failed. I thought I could master the forest's heart. But the forest is not to be mastered, it chooses. If you hold this talisman, then perhaps it has chosen you. But be warned, it demands a sacrifice.
The word sacrifice echoed through her mind. The pendant was not a tool of power. It was a conduit, a vessel of ancient energy. And it demanded something in return. As Anna stepped out of the cave with the pendant clutched in her hand, the forest erupted. Thunder rolled through the skies though there were no clouds. The wind howled like a scream, and the ground trembled beneath her feet. It was as if the forest had awakened fully and was shaking off centuries of stillness. Anna stumbled through the trees, and soon she found herself on a cliff's edge, one she hadn't seen before. Below was a dark, swirling body of water, once perhaps a river, now something wild and chaotic, reflecting the storm overhead. On the cliff stood the creature again, taller now, as if it had absorbed the forest's wrath. Its glowing eyes stared into hers, but this time it didn't advance. In its stance was a strange hesitation. And in that hesitation, Anna understood. This being wasn't a mindless threat. It was a guardian, perhaps even a former human, cursed to protect the forest's heart for eternity. She remembered Elias's note. The forest chooses. Anna held up the pendant. The storm paused. In a moment of instinct, Anna stepped toward the edge of the cliff, raising the pendant above her head. The energy within it surged, so powerful it made her vision go white for a second. She knew what it wanted, her choice. Power or peace. Possession or release. She could use the pendant. Perhaps command the forest. Control its mysteries. But that meant binding herself to it, giving up the world she came from, becoming like the guardian. Ageless, trapped, watching. Or she could return the pendant to the earth, end the disturbance she caused, and restore the balance. But it would mean losing everything she had uncovered. Answers, legacy, perhaps even her life. Her hands trembled as wind whipped around her. Below, the creature took a step back, nodding solemnly as if it already knew her answer. With tears in her eyes, Anna knelt and pressed the pendant into the soil. The forest roared, then fell completely silent. A burst of white light exploded outward from the ground, washing over everything. The cliff, the creature, the forest. Anna was engulfed in it, warmth rushing through her veins. Then came the stillness. She closed her eyes. Days later, a group of hikers passing through the western edge of the forest reported finding a strange clearing, lush, quiet, and unnaturally serene. In the center was a patch of freshly grown grass surrounding a single stone, carved with unfamiliar symbols. No one could decipher them, but those who stood near it said they felt oddly at peace. The village of Halewood continued to grow, and the forest slowly reclaimed its myths. Still whispered, still respected. As for Anna, no one ever saw her again. But her journal was found, sealed in an oilskin bag beside the forest's edge, its last page marked with a single sentence.
The forest didn't take me. It accepted me.
And in that silence, her story lived on, not as a legend, but as a truth hidden in the roots of the wild.